During the winter term of my freshman year at Dartmouth College, I took basic design with Version Bogosian. And at the time, I was an 18-year-old coming from rural New Mexico, no background in Western art history at all, no real knowledge of artists that were working contemporarily in the world. And so I had no idea who he was. And it's one of those things where you meet someone and they're really nice and super supportive, but at the same time, after you have them as a professor and kind of work with them a little bit, you do some research later on, you're like, oh my gosh, that was the most amazing artist ever. And I can't believe that I didn't take more advantage of that situation and get to know him better. And so I am kind of sad about that. But the class was a great class. It's an intro level class at Dartmouth, which I found really interesting that he was, now that I kind of look back, that was what he was teaching. But I think within his work, I kind of see the correlations of a lot of kind of putting items together, talking a lot about composition and balance and just how to bring all these disparate objects to make sense and have a conversation together. And I feel like, as an intro student, that's really what you're trying to do. And so it makes a lot more sense now. And, I remember he wouldn't quite explain assignments. He'd be like, go and do a collage and bring it back. And then, we'd bring it back and we'd critique it. And like I said, I didn't go to a great public school, but and so it took me a while to kind of catch on and understand how these terms were used. And then I think what I realized as the class went on was that it wasn't necessarily about learning vocabulary or terms or things like that. It was really about internalizing that process and growing into that process rather than being told what it should be. And I think that a lot of times that's what the best teachers do, right? It becomes part of who you are and the way that you work in that subject matter. And that I think is pivotal and awesome. And I remember him being super supportive of all of the work that we were doing. And I remember him, coming and talking about, I remember the favorite piece of mine that he talked about and then he put on the wall for everyone to see was this New York City subway map that I had colored in with orange and green. Because he asked us to bring in a map and then just to use a couple of colors to fill it in to create a design. And so he was very proud of mine. And, he was like, you did a great job, which was, of course, like wonderful. And it was really great. And then at the end of that term, which I didn't realize until we, the end of the semester, was that was his last term of teaching before he retired. So I think I told you this before, but he came into the last class after our final critiques and everything and had tons of baguettes and butter, because he always said we had to have butter with the baguettes, and was like, all right, guys, congratulations. You all get A's because I'm retiring. But he was such a lovely guy. And again, I am sorry I didn't get to know him better or spend more time, but I'm just so appreciative that he was actually my first art professor.